Y'all really look good in masks. And, that's the rules as far as committee meetings. Unless you're speaking, you have to have a mask on. I think I got that as a note right before session. So we will abide by that rule. So when somebody in the back tells you that you have to have a mask, they're telling you because I told them. So, okay. Chairman Hawkins, would you open us with prayer, please, sir? Push your button.
Please bow your heads. God, we come before you today and ask you to lay your hand upon us to help us make the decisions, the best decisions for the citizens of this state, and help guide us in what we do now and in the future. God bless all of us in the state of Georgia. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Okay. There's always a group that comes in last. I won't say what our leader said, but we've heard all these other bills thus far on the blue sheet except one, and it's and I want to remind everyone that only those who are on the committee can sit in front of the fence back there. Okay, Chair Lady Rich, would you come to the podium, please? Since this is the only thing that we will be discussing this morning, and it is a little contentious based on the committee meeting yesterday that Chair Lady Taylor conducted, might give just a little bit of extra time to it. And then once all of this is over, we'll set the calendar for Thursday. So, Chair Lady Rich, House Bill 873, Gwinnett County Board of Commissioners Revised District Boundaries. Floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am bringing House Bill 873, LC number 471520S. This is the committee substitute that was voted out of committee yesterday. This is the maps to provide redistricting for the Gwinnett County Board of Commissioners. This is a map that I worked with reapportionment to draw that more fairly draws the lines for the county, divides them into 4 very compact districts, one of which is a north, another a south, a west, and an east. This is a point that I have been negotiating directly with the Board of Commissioners, directly through their lobbyist, that is, and the chairwoman asked me to prepare a map on Friday afternoon. I did and sent it to her on Saturday. She never responded with any comments whatsoever. So we moved forward with this in committee. This is a map that complies with the law, the Constitution, the Voting Rights Act. It also meets traditional principles of redistricting with respect to compactness and respect for the incumbents. Every one of the incumbents has their own district to run in. There have been allegations that this is a white power move. However, it is important to note that every single one of the districts is majority non-white, and that those allegations have no basis in fact whatsoever. It's indicative of the fact that it's the only argument that anyone has against these maps, because these maps more fairly divide our county and respect communities of interest. The maps that were proposed in the original House Bill 873 were extremely partisan gerrymandered and did not provide for adequate representation for significant communities of interest in Gwinnett County. So it is for this reason that I request your favorable consideration.
Okay, I've got a question, and you said that you were working with the commissioners in drawing this new map.
Yes, I was. And it probably, in retrospect, I realized that they may have been playing me by making it appear that they were going to negotiate in the hopes that the original bill would go forward. But of course, that didn't happen because I did bring it to the attention of the committee via an official substitute. But yes, I have been actually working with the Board of Commissioners since December. Before I went into session. I have met personally with their lobbyist, and I have communicated with him, who is a very good lobbyist, very professional, well-respected lobbyist here around the Capitol. I have communicated with him via text, multiple meetings, but I have made concessions and have gotten no concessions from them or movement at all with respect to my concerns about the communities of interest, most specifically the one that I represent.
Okay. The second question, I think I heard you say that this map was drawn at the request of the chair?
Yes, she asked that I provide her with a proposed map that respected the communities of interest with respect to actually specifically the Northern District, which is what I was most concerned with having, because under the original maps it had been divided into 3 different districts. That's significant. We only have 4. But they had carved up this one community into 3 different districts. So much so that they didn't even take their own map to the committee meeting because it would have been an embarrassment to put it beside my map.
Okay. Question, was the original map certified by the redistricting office?
The original map, meaning the map that was proposed by the
Correct.
original author, I am not aware of whether that was. Mine was. I'm
Okay.
not aware of whether the original one was.
Okay, yours was, okay.
Yes.
All right, looks like you have a couple of questions. Mr. Wilkerson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Chair, and I appreciate the extra time we're going to spend on this. This is more of a procedural question, I guess. I'm thinking back to 2011. We had 200 plus local redistricting maps, and this is the first time I've ever seen us actually go through governmental affairs. Can you explain why we bypassed the local delegation?
It's my understanding that the local calendar exists for expediency and efficiency when the local delegation is in agreement. Otherwise, we would add hours to every one of our legislative days. However, it is not uncommon at all when the local delegation disagrees that the bill will be removed from the local calendar and put on the general calendar.
Follow-up question,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. So just to reiterate, I guess the specific question is, do you know of any redistricting bill that has ever in this chamber gone through as a general bill for local maps?
Well, you may know that this is just my second term, so I don't have any experience in previous redistricting. I was not a member of this body until 2019. I have not checked the legislative history.
Representative Hughley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to Madam Chair. It's obvious a disagreement between the delegation. How many people in the delegation approved this map that you're presenting?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
You have a certain number of members in your delegation. Other
the
than,
Gwinnett
other than
delegation, yes.
yourself,
Mhm.
how many others are in agreement with what you're doing?
It is my understanding that we have at least 3 others who are in agreement. Those are the same ones who voted no to the map that was proposed by the original author of this bill.
So 3 out of, what, 20?
I'm not sure of the total number, but yes, it is definitely the minority. It is every single Republican member who has participated in the redistricting process disagreed with the map that was proposed by the Gwinnett delegation.
So we have had maps where every single member of the Democrats disagreed, but we didn't do this because we don't rule by the minority. Is that not true?
I cannot speak to that, Representative.
I have a question for you. You said that you sent the maps on Saturday to the commission chair.
Yes.
Would that have given the commissioners an opportunity to review and vote before before the committee met?
It was represented to me by the chairwoman and by the lobbyists that yes, they would.
So and you said, and I think I heard you say they did not get back to you.
No one responded to me with any comment whatsoever, despite the fact that the lobbyist and I were in constant communication.
So the committee then took silence as consent?
I don't know. I don't know what the intent of the commission was, but I do know that we are under a deadline and that we need to get maps approved. And it became clear to me that the commission was likely stringing me along in the hopes that we would not have a voice in the redistricting.
One final question, and that is, on the original maps that were introduced into local legislation by the Gwinnett delegation, was there a resolution from the members of the county commission in support of those maps?
Yes, I believe there was. All 5 of the members of the county commission who live in the southern part of the county, none of whom live in the top 1/3 of our county. None of them. Yes, they all voted for that map that split the northern third of the county into 3 different districts. Yes, they did.
And this is my final question,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. So are you displacing any existing office holders in this new scheme?
No, I am not. Every single one of them has a district to run in, all on their own. Every single one of them will have an I by their names. I took great lengths to ensure that.
Thank you.
Leader Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Chair, I think you chaired the reapportionment committee,
Yes, yes, I did.
so you have a keen and sure understanding of communities of interest
Yes, I do.
around this entire state.
Yes, I do.
So what you just explained about the 4 districts and how it impacts the people of Gwinnett, so tell me a little more about the communities of interest in that county.
Yes.
And what you're seeking to protect here for the people's interest.
Yes, thank you. I represent a district in the northern part of the county. There's a Senate district that covers about the top 1/3, that same area. That senator is my senator. This is primarily a bedroom community. It is the most recently developed area of the county. It is a very diverse community. It does not have a lot of the other infrastructure that maybe the county seat has. The county seat is Lawrenceville. It is less densely populated. Other parts of our county have been in existence for a while. They have more infrastructure, art centers, that sort of thing. People from our community tend to visit the other areas of the county. There's no reason for anyone who doesn't live in our part of the county to really visit there. It is primarily a bedroom community.
One last follow-up, Mr. Chairman. Isn't that one of the priorities that we, that was one of the main interests we tried to protect around the state, was those communities of interest?
Yes, it is. It is very high on the list of priorities in redistricting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Leader Ballinger. Beverly. Sorry about that. You've probably been called worse,
Yeah,
so.
I said, when did that happen?
Okay. I was just talking to her, one.
No, it's fine. Everybody sit down. It's fine. I have 3 questions, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. Number 1 is, what are the demographics of Gwinnett currently?
I'm not sure it is majority non-white. I do know that, and we have a very diverse population. We have Caucasian, Black, a very large Asian American community. We have a Latino community. We are probably one of the most diverse counties in the state, if not the.
Thank you. To Leader Burns' question, can you define for me what you perceive, or legally, what a community of interest is?
A community of interest is a group of people who live in similar, an area close together, who have similar needs and interests. For example, a bedroom community, a part of the county that is more newly developed and is continuing to be developed will have more of an interest in zoning issues than the southern part of our county, for example, which is primarily comprised of more urban areas. Those issues have been already fully explored, and those needs have been taken care of. So we in the northern part of the county have some issues that the southern part of the county doesn't, and that's just an example of a common interest that we have that other districts do not. And it also happens to be an area where we have been a bit ignored.
Okay, understood. To the last question, more directly, you created, in this map, there are 4 districts, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the district that you refer to, is that district number 4?
Yes.
Okay.
In the original map, it was 1, and it created an extra need for some language that made it very confusing, so we just renumbered them.
Right, so from a demographic standpoint, if Gwinnett is a diverse county, made up of multiple different races and ethnicities, can you explain to me why District 4 is a 48% white district where the rest of them are around 28, 30, 32? What is the need to have a majority? And again, to your point, why is that one particular district, District 4, at 48-point-something% white when the county is not reflective of that demographic?
As I mentioned, this is the part of the county that is the last to be developed. It is continuing to be developed, so it only makes sense that that part of the county, which is less densely populated, would have less or more concentration of the white population, because that's who had been living there before. But that has nothing to do with my decision. After I comply with the Constitution and the Voting Rights Act, that's not an issue. The community of interest is my issue and is my concern, and I represent a very diverse constituency. I have, in addition to white people, I have black people who voted for me, and Latino people, and Asian American people, and I represent them all. And members of every single one of those races and ethnicities have come to me and told me that they don't feel that they have a voice at the county level. And when they learned that it's because every single commissioner lives in the southern part of the district, well, they set me upon a task, and I'm representing my constituents the way that I am supposed to do. I have followed the law, and I have followed the procedure, and that is exactly what my constituents expect for me to do.
Just to follow up, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. Last one is, we're not talking about who you represent, just to be clear. We're talking about the commission districts that were certified by Sam Park, Representative Park, the chairman of your delegation, which had a normal distribution across the cost curve, right? When you're talking about, for right now, is about a county commission district that has been top heavy with the percentage that's different than the percentage in the whole county. So when you say to me, when you say to the public that, hey, you're carving out a district that's not necessary because there was already a district carved out that better reflected the demographics of Gwinnett, I find that a little bit incredulous, quite frankly.
Thank you, Leader. And what I hear you saying is that to distribute the percentages of the population across the county takes priority over communities of interest. And with that, we 100% disagree with you.
Okay. Elstration, is that your 59? Okay.
Yes, sir,
Chuck
Mr. Chairman.
Elstration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Chair, isn't it true that when the delegation conducted a Zoom meeting to discuss the legislation proposed by Representative Park, that there were concerns raised both to the procedural and the substance, procedural process that had been utilized and the actual substance of the proposed Commissioner District map that were expressed at that meeting?
Yes, that is correct, Chairman.
Isn't it true that the proposed commission map, in contrast to the proposed school board map, was not put out with 2 alternatives with an open process for members of the public to submit their considerations as to which of the 2 proposals they might support.
Yes, that is correct, and that is probably why we in the delegation were able to reach a 100% agreement on the school board map.
Isn't it true that as to the substance of the Democrat proposal that was brought, that concerns were raised that a proposed district, specifically I believe it's District 3, which includes much of the state house district that I currently represent, would wrap from the very tip-top northern part of the county going all the way to the southern part of the county and wrapping around the city of Lawrenceville, which would deny, say, for example, important consistency as to transportation project needs and other specific needs that a district commissioner would need to be mindful of representing such a large and populated county.
Yes, that is correct, Chairman.
All right, thank you.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The proverbial "I don't have a dog in this hunt" kind of applies to me, but overall I do. And I just wanted to make a comparison here. In my commission and my school board, overall in Liberty County, it's 46% African American. I've never had a majority black district since I've been in the House. It's about 44% white, 10% other. It's hard to find a more diverse population in Georgia, and especially in rural Georgia. And my problem was, of the 7 commissioners, the map passed 5-2, school board 4-3. And all of the people opposed to it were very dear friends of mine, kind of put me in the middle there. And the only place I could go was, I says, your commission and your school board has voted. And I respect the local authority here. I would have loved to have helped my friends. And one of my districts comes from the Atlantic Ocean and wraps around, literally wraps around the entire county, wraps around it. Very diverse community of interest. But I still had to go with the desires of the school board and the commission in a very contentious vote, because I was very worried about folk who didn't really know, it's not in your case, but people who didn't know Liberty County getting involved in our map. So the commission and the school board was my guiding light. And there were some strong arguments about communities of interest. But ultimately, the will of the people was expressed by their elected officials. I just wanted to make an observation.
Thank you, Representative. And I just want to point out that this is highlighting the need for redistricting. We had a county commission that did not represent the population in the northern part of my county. And if we allowed them to continue and to draw the maps that would continue that for the next decade, well, that defeats the whole purpose of redistricting.
One follow-up, and I appreciate what you're saying. Like I said, I don't know the intricacies of Gwinnett County, but I do know that those were some arguments for some people who live on some very valuable real estate in the far east of my county. But I said, this is overall, the will of the people was still expressed by the people that were elected by the people. And for many, many years, my map didn't, the other maps never looked like what the majority of people wanted them to look like. But they certainly looked like the people who were in charge. And so I just kept the old tradition. If you're in charge, you make the call.
Thank you.
Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the author of the bill, can you remind us of what's the approximate population of Gwinnett County?
It is right at 1 million people.
And we're talking about 4 districts. The easy math that we're talking about representation here, and the maps that are being proposed by, frankly, you and the Board of Commissioners reflects 250,000 people per commissioner. And when I just heard Representative Williams mention that his county has 7 commissioners, and I dare say the population is not a little bit different. My county has 6 commissioners, 7 including the chairman, which if you do the math on our county, that's about 16,000 citizens per commissioner. And we're looking at a map with 250,000 citizens per commissioner. That doesn't seem very representative to me. And I was wondering, was any discussion held at all about increasing the size of
Yes, there was, and that is one of the issues. I have constituents who live in, is currently District 1, and they are not responded to. The current commissioner for that area is not responsive to them, and I don't know if it's because he doesn't care about them because he doesn't live in our community, or if it's because he just simply cannot get to them. So that was actually an issue that we in the Republican delegation raised. It seemed good policy. We needed to add some commission seats, and I personally was advocating for the addition of 2 more seats. And that was one of the elements that I conceded. I said, well, if we can agree then to not add commission seats, can we at least agree that we will get a fair district drawn for the northern 1/3 of the county? And that was where I got no more communication once I conceded that issue. So we were never able to reach an agreement. But yes, I think it is good policy. We do need more commission seats in Gwinnett County, absolutely. Our county commissioners represent more people than any other elected person in the state of Georgia, except for statewide seats.
Mr. Wilkins, I'm going to cut off questions now because we've been talking about this for an hour, and it's discussion time is either in the committee or on the House floor. And but I thought this was important enough because of the contentious nature of it to take a look at it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. All right, we're going to set Thursday calendar. Okay. House Bill 752. Do I hear a move? I got a move and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. It's on. House Bill 867. Do I hear a move? Okay. Got a move and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. It's on. House Bill 873. Do I hear a move? I got a move and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, well, let's do some counting. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, all opposed, same sign. Motion carried. It's on the floor. I'm gonna call on Vice Chairman Ballinger for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to House Rule 33.3, I move for the debate on all bills tomorrow to be limited to no longer than 1 hour on all legislation, time to be allocated at the discretion of the Speaker.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do I hear a second? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. All in favor, raise your right hand. It looks like it passed. All right. House Bill 752, House Bill 867, House Bill 873, and a limited debate to 1 hour at the discretion of the Speaker. Thank y'all. See y'all probably tomorrow morning.